Hey there. Have you ever been to Japan? When it comes to the big tourist spots, you probably know Tokyo Shibuya, Akihabara, anime, even maid cafes. Head west and there's Osaka, with Dotonbori, and of course the ancient capital, Kyoto. You've also got Himeji Castle, super famous. But here's the thing. You probably don't know the smaller, hidden places, right? That's exactly what this channel is all about, showing you Japan's lesser-known spots. So, to start off, I took a walk around Yabu City, up in northern Hyogo. When people think of Hyogo, they usually think of Himeji, Kobe, or maybe Arima Onsen. But here in Yabu, it's a small mountain town with only about 26,000 people. Even though the population is small, this place is actually the home of Tajima beef, one of Japan's top 3 Wagyu brands. This time, I'm introducing the Akenobe mine, once the #1 producer of tin in all of Japan. Today, tin is used in things like musical instruments, tableware, and even as a coating for metals. It's also one of the key elements in bronze. And according to tradition, much of the tin used for the great Buddha at Todaiji in Nara, Japan's other ancient capital, actually came from this very mine. Let's dive right in. Just getting here was a long journey, crossing beautiful mountains, until finally, the mine revealed itself in silence. This is the Akenobe Mine Exploration Tunnel. Tin veins were first discovered here in 1909. From then on, Akenobe quickly grew, supplying nearly 90% of Japan's tin. At its peak, it became a true mining city, with over 4,000 workers living here, creating countless jobs. Standing at the entrance today, you can still feel the chill of the air seeping out from inside, even in the middle of summer. Apparently, you need to make a reservation in advance to actually go inside the mine. On the opposite side of the entrance, there was a slope leading upward. So let's climb up and see where it takes us. As I climbed up, I found a small building. It looks like a place where workers used to take their breaks. But actually, the history of the Akenobe mine goes back much further. As early as the Heian period, around the year 794, this mountain was mined for copper. For centuries, all the way up to the Edo period in the 1800s, it was operated as a copper mine. Then, in the Meiji era, in 1909, the mine was purchased by the Mitsubishi Zaibatsu. That's when a massive vein of tin was discovered, marking the beginning of a new chapter in its history. I found another entrance to the mine, and this one is much larger. Inside, a whole network of railway tracks runs through. At first, they were used only to transport ore. But around 1945, they started carrying people as well. In total, about 6 kilometers of track were laid down. It's no longer in operation today, but back then the fare was just 1 yen. That's why people called it the 1 yen train. And to put that into perspective, 1 yen back then is worth roughly 1,000 yen today. This red train car was called the Akagane Go. It wasn't just for the miners, it also carried local residents commuting to work or school. The car itself weighed about 3 tons, and its speed was less than 10 kilometers an hour. Compare that to modern trains, which weigh around 40 tons and run at about 100 kilometers an hour. This one was really slow. Since it had both passenger space and a cargo bed for ore, it seems people and minerals were transported side by side. Here's what it looks like inside the last car that was connected. The interior is really aged. You can almost feel the years of use. This was probably where the conductor worked. The speedometer and the control levers are still preserved, just as they were. As for the passenger space, the ceiling is so low that only a single adult could barely fit. Realistically, it seems like only 1 person per row would have been possible for modern-day passengers. A few kilometers away from the spot I just showed you, there's another mining facility. This one is called a thickener. A thickener is a device used to separate minerals from water. Ore and chemicals were added to the center, and then, using gravity, the solid particles would settle at the bottom, leaving behind the minerals. There are two of them here, one about 30 meters in diameter and another about 16 meters. What's amazing is that much of the equipment and electrical devices from that time are still here. Standing here, you really get a sense of just how many people must have worked in this place. This tree is a crepe myrtle. They say it has been watching over the people here since those days. Judging by its size and age, it must be well over 100 years old. These are the remains of the incline tracks that connected the ore processing plant. A cable car once moved up and down these rails, carrying the mined ore to be sorted. The operation was remotely controlled from the small hut you can see at the top. And back then, all communication between the top and the bottom was done entirely with hand signals. They actually had a whole set of different signals just to make it work. The person who contributed the most to the development of this mine was Jean-François Coignet. After graduating from a mining school in France, he was invited to Japan by the new Meiji government, which was aiming to modernize the Akenobe mine. He spent 10 years here. Until then, mining had been done entirely by hand. Coignet introduced blasting with explosives, laid down rail tracks, and installed hoisting machines. All of these efforts greatly boosted the mine's productivity. This small house is said to have been the residence of Jean-François Coignet, though it isn't certain. Today it's preserved as an important example of Meiji-era architecture. So, what did you think? This channel is all about exploring Japan's lesser-known spots by actually walking through them. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.